y'all, so welcome back to my channel. It's Kedisar, and today I want to talk about the whole notion that veganism must just be something for white people, and it's just not something black people do. As a black vegan who has been vegan my entire life, that statement just doesn't sit right with me. You know, black people can't be vegan. Like, when I tell a lot of black people I'm vegan, they're like, what? I thought that was just a thing white people do. Really? Like, obviously not. But I can't even blame a lot of people for thinking that, because some people grow up in areas where all they see is black people eating non-vegan foods, non-vegan lifestyles, and then if they ever hear the word vegan, it's said in the same sentence as white. So that's what they think, that's what they associate it with, veganism and white. And what's really bad about that is they don't even think it's a possibility or an option for them to one day switch to be vegan, because they just have never associated black people and veganism together. So I completely understand why a lot of people just aren't used to the whole notion of there being black vegans. But it really gets problematic when, let's say I tell someone I'm a vegan, right? And they try to take away my black card. Like, oh,
you ain't really black because you ain't never had fried chicken.
Or you haven't ever had fish. Or you ain't never had mac and cheese. Like, I'm sorry, but since when does a food define my blackness? And since when do you have the right to take it away from me? Like, oh, you ain't really black. You ain't never had this, you ain't never had that. I'm sorry, Mrs. Black Police, Mr. Black Police. Like, who are you, first off? And second off, that is so problematic that you think that these food items define us as people. You think that we're so limited and we don't have any type of diversity in our food culture, and that all black people have to eat these certain things. That's so problematic. Like, let's unpack that. Like, first off, get the idea out of your head, and second off, where could the idea have come from? Okay, well, food cultures have been formed around certain circumstances, right? And let's be real, black people have not always had access to a vegan lifestyle in the US. During slavery, we were given pieces of scraps, and since we're so creative and innovative, we turn those scraps into soul food and food items that we can actually enjoy eating. That's where food like chitlins come from, or pig's feet. So I can see why people would feel like that defines them, because that's all we had at one point in time. But times are different, okay? We gotta let go of those scraps that we were literally given because we weren't valued enough to be given things that weren't just the remains of the animal or scraps, you know what I'm saying? We weren't valued enough to be given the main items, you know? But now we have access to a lot of healthier foods, so we need to unpack why we feel like these foods really define our culture. And then once you realize that that's because we were literally given them as scraps, and you'll be like, okay, I understand why they ate it then, but should I really be eating scraps now? Is that really what I'm worth? If I have all these other options, should I just be eating scraps? No, the answer is no, you shouldn't just be eating scraps, or you should at least look into it a little further, at least do some research, and at least unpack the idea that vegans are only white people and black people can't be vegan. Because just because you haven't seen a black vegan doesn't mean it's not something that can happen, or that if you do see a black vegan, then they're trying to act white, or they're trying to be white and they don't really love their black food or their black culture and all this stuff that doesn't make sense. So since we know like what a lot of these foods in soul food culture, which is also kind of broadly categorized as black food culture, we know where it comes from, we should know that we have the ability to redefine that culture. Okay, have you ever had black soul food? Have you? If you haven't, you're missing out. I'm sorry, you're missing out. Just like everybody who's ever asked me if I've eaten like fried chicken and all this other stuff, when I tell them no, they say I'm missing out. Y'all are missing out if you've never had black soul food, because black soul food hits. Okay, it's black people making it still. We still throwing down, but it's just vegan food. It's just plant-based items. So you got the health and you got the good tastes. Like what's not to love? So if you think that vegan food just don't hit the same, then do your research and you will find out that black vegan food, okay, goes hard. And I'm not saying only black vegan food goes hard, but it goes hard, okay? It goes hard. So yeah, I just really want to reiterate the fact that just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that one, it doesn't exist, or two, if it does exist, doesn't mean that it's invalid. Just because I'm a black vegan and you haven't ever met a black vegan doesn't mean that, oh, I'm less black because I'm a vegan. Like, and that idea also stems from the whole idea that, oh, black people just can't be healthy. Like, can we not take our health serious? Is that a bad thing for a black person to really invest their time and energy in redefining what food they're gonna eat and deciding for themselves what type of lifestyle they want to lead? Is that such a bad thing that somebody actually wants to put their health into their own hands rather than just eating everything that they see everyone else around them eating? It's not at all. So by you telling me that I'm too healthy or I'm trying to be like these white people, is you saying that you don't think we're worthy enough to be healthy people, to take on healthy habits. Like, you really gotta unpack that whole idea why you would say that in the first place. Like, people categorize health as a bad thing. They think if you are healthy, you probably eat just carrots and lettuce all day and you're not eating no real food, right? But that's not true. It's just not true, and it hurts me to see people being so ignorant about this subject. Like, and believe it or not, there's vegan food that's not healthy either. So vegan and health doesn't necessarily go together, but it is more so synonymous than non-vegan and health. You know what I'm saying? Just putting that out there. But we as black people are worthy of being healthy. We're worthy of not eating scraps like freaking chitlins and pig feet. We're worthy of eating real food for real people that makes us healthy and happy. We're worthy of it, and it's not just for white people. Health and wellness is not just for white people. Balanced diets is not just for white people. Veganism is not just for white people. Just because that may be what you have seen in the past doesn't mean you can't redefine that for yourself, for your family, your future. Just because that's what you've seen or what you've heard. You always gotta question these things. Like, have I been hearing and seeing this just because of my environment and situation I'm in? Doesn't necessarily mean that it's not something I can do. No, it doesn't mean that, because you can do it if you want to, if you're in a situation that you can, okay? So yeah, I just have to get that off my chest. Veganism is not just for white people. There are plenty of black people out here doing it, and I'm specifically talking about black people because, as you can see, I am black, and I've heard these things a lot growing up because I have been vegan my whole life, and I've just heard this a lot, like, oh, you're vegan, but you're black. You never had this, but you're black. You ain't black if you ain't never had this. Like, come on, people, let's get out of this. Let's get out of it. So that's why I'm really directing towards my black people, but this goes for any other race, ethnicity, whatever. This is a lifestyle. It's not just for one group of people, okay? So yeah, with that being said, go ahead and leave a comment down below on what you think about this topic, or leave suggestions for any other topics you want to hear me talk about in the future. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. I have plenty of videos on veganism and natural ways of living, lifestyle, etc. So join the family, And until next time, peace and love.